2 minutes past 7. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're coming to you live from Lagos Eco Hotel, venue of the Lagos Economic Summit. We're joined now by the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Mr. Ben Nwabueze. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Well, we're looking at the theme here, powering the Lagos economy, real opportunities, endless possibilities. Well, yes, we do know the importance of powering the economy, but tell us about this, man. Real opportunities, endless possibilities. Is this as a result of powering the Lagos economy, and why we should?
Absolutely. I mean, what we're saying is that, with power, delivering power in the right quality, the right quantity, the opportunities that will unlock in this economy are simply immense.
And electricity.
Yes, electricity. Talking about electric power. If the economy of Nigeria overall is growing at over 7%, and we reckon the economy of Lagos is growing at over 10%, without power, you just imagine the possibilities if we had power, and that's what we're going to be showcasing in this summit. This is probably the best investment opportunity that there's going to be for the next decade or so as we fix the power challenge of Lagos.
Okay, because one wonders, the summit comes at a time where that sector has been privatized, because there are those who may just misconstrue thinking, okay, reason why Lagos should get more economy, should that be the government supplying that? But now it's the private sector, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's about the private sector. The government has no intention to become a major active player in the power sector. We are, of course, a key player on the side of demand, on the side of regulation, on the side of enablement. Enabling the sector to thrive. But in terms of the investment, the opportunities that are waiting to be taken, these are really for the private sector. But in terms of possibilities, absolutely, it also opens up huge possibilities even for government service delivery. There are lots of things that we could do better. We could serve the public better if there was more available power.
But some people will say, isn't it obvious? We always talk about lack of electricity, and that if we just had it, we understand just what potential it holds, of unleashing the economy. Why do we need to talk about it?
Well, if it was that obvious, I don't think it would have taken us this long to finally begin to do the right things. You know how long it's taken us to get going with the unbundling of Prt1 and the entire power sector reform. You remember a few years ago, the federal government even decided to suspend the reforms. If it was that obvious as it is to you and I, to everyone who has a part to play in this, then you'll expect that people will have done things differently over time. But as they say, better late than never.
Essentially, what role are you seeing for yourself? Yes, electricity has been privatized, but largely it's still regulated at the federal level. What role are you seeing for the state governments?
But ultimately, the state government is a regulator of sorts. The investors, whether it is those investing in power, in gas infrastructure, whether it's those even laying the distribution networks for power, they all need, for instance, right of way permits. That's a municipal authority matter. It's not a federal government thing. So the state has to be able to do that. When there are obstructions to the right of way, when the state government has to step in and help and recover the right of way. For instance, we have been serving notices to people who are located under high tension cables that they need to move. They need to, these are things that, it's for the state government to do, not the...
The reason I ask this is because a lot of the times when people talk about, the fact that power is not exactly constant, in fact, it's nowhere near constant, we always look to the federal government. We never look at the states. Yes, we all understand the importance of the role of electricity in unleashing the potentials of the economy, how come it's taken so long, so to speak, for the state governments, especially Lagos State, to look at that particular area?
No, on the contrary, it hasn't taken us long, but there were legislative constraints. Up until now, the sector was a monopoly. It was a public sector monopoly in terms of only the federal government, and therefore the states were limited. We come in, at the downstream end, to provide support and some regulatory support, but it all begins upstream with, the federal government. And what has changed now is that the government has, let go of that sector and opened it up to, private enterprise. And therefore, the states can now more actively play the role of, enablers, creating the enabling environment for the private sector operators in the sector to thrive.
Well, allow me to comment here because on this power issue, I know you have loads and loads of experts that will be looking at this particular issue to see how this can be resolved. But in your opening, you said something about Lagos economy, and I'm interested in that. Tell us more about it. You said, well, the growth is about at 10% growth, perhaps
over.
Less, over.
Yes.
So let's look at what drives the Lagos economy and how you hope to sustain or boost it.
Well, we're quite pleased with the report of the rebasing of the Nigerian economy. Because very interestingly, in 2008, we began independent measurement of the Lagos, the GDP. And because we were using more current, basis for measuring, the numbers that we always came up with, okay, were, over double the numbers that the National Bureau of Statistics was attributing to Lagos State. And we always said, clearly that the economy was being under-measured. And I think that, the latest numbers have borne us out. And if you look at the latest numbers, the significant, growth in the contribution of the service sector to, the GDP. And when you're talking about the service sector, Lagos is really the base for that. So some of the arguments that people have made in the past about why the economy of Lagos GDP could not be as large as we thought, because they always had this agriculture contributed 40%. With these new numbers, you see agriculture is down to just a little over 20%. And some of those sectors where they thought Lagos was not a key contributor are actually the sectors that we see in the rebasing. Lower contributors, and the sectors where Lagos is the prime mover are those that have gained significantly in terms of their contribution to the GDP. So this is essentially the nerve center of the economy.
Tell us more about these sectors, because when we speak and we talk about sectors, for instance, we say this sector, ordinarily we thought this sector was up there, and with the rebasing, we just realized that this sector is down. Can we be a little bit specific when we talk about sectors? Which of the sectors would you say is the most driving force of the Lagos economy?
Essentially, it's across the board in terms of the services. If you take telecom, for instance, in the rebased GDP, telecoms is nearly 9%. Lagos is close to half of that. We reckon. If you take financial services, Lagos is home to 40% of the branch networks of banks, and with the exception of one, all the banks have their headquarters here. And other arms of the finance sector, insurance, whatever, name them. You know, Lagos is essentially the base for that. I mean, you see the huge growth in the entertainment, you know, motion pictures and all of those things. Lagos is, you know, the base for that as well. The tourism and the hospitality industry.
So it's a potpourri of sectors that we have here.
Absolutely, and that's really the nature of the economies of, you know, major cities as they evolve. They evolve from, you know, industrial, you know, basic industrial to services. If you look at London, for instance, you know, that's the same trend that you will see. But nevertheless, you notice in this rebased GDP, manufacturing has gone from 4% previously to 7%. Lagos, outside of, you know, oil and gas, you know, refining and, you know, petrochemicals, Lagos is the base of manufacturing, whatever manufacturing, you know, there is still going on in this country. So, and then even in agriculture, when it comes to livestock, you know, poultry and
in
you
all
know,
of
aquaculture,
this,
Lagos is still a significant contributor.
And it would seem in all of this sector, there's just one key thing that should help drive it. That's the electricity, power.
Absolutely. So if you see each of these sectors, just imagine what you know, available. I mean, power in sufficient quantity and quality, and keep, you know, talking about the quality issues, not just the quantity. We saw an experience this morning now with this transmission, what quality of power could mean, you know, for productivity. But today we receive less than 1,000 megawatts of power from the national grid in Lagos. The demand is over 10,000 megawatts.
Just for Lagos alone?
Yes. So, I mean, you know, imagine what that will